This is Chris Kendall with step 6 of your side plank teaching progression. Now, after working on the side plank on the wall, trying techniques such as compression and really elevating to kind of de-weight the shoulder a little bit, if we're still having problems, if the client still cannot maintain the abdominal brace and they just can't get the cues to kind of hold their shoulder down, we want to consider other alternatives. And one fantastic exercise to do so, and one that is very easy to teach, is called the core or pal-off press. This exercise is becoming increasingly popular in fitness circles, and rightly so. It's a great exercise, and what we're going to do in this video is just teach you kind of the teaching progression we use here at Peak, and how we can make this a little more dynamic. Now, for our first exercise, we're going to break the rules a little bit. Whereas most progression will start from the floor up, we like to start in a half standing position here, a bilateral stance, to give us a bit more stability in teaching this exercise. So what I'm going to ask the client to do is just come into a half squat stance here, press out about halfway, and just hold for 10 seconds, alright? The key here, just keep the band in line with the belly button, try not to rotate back this way, brace the abs, and to make this exercise harder, we can just press out all the way, increase the lever arm, and just hold here from anywhere from 10 to 30 seconds. Alright, generally I'm going to ask the client to just hold for 10 seconds, release, anywhere from 5 to 8 times, and from there, our progression would be into a tall kneeling stance. Right? For the tall kneeling stance, I'm just going to come down here onto my knees. Same rules apply. Hold for 10 seconds, release for a second. Hold for 10 seconds, release for 10 seconds, and so on. Obviously, we're going to do this on both sides. But once the client can do this, once they're pretty proficient in this exercise, they understand the cues, and we can get this done pretty quickly, we're going to move into a half kneeling stance. And now this is going to get much more difficult, where we have a much more narrow base to work with, and the client is going to struggle to stay in place. Again, the same rules apply. I'm going to hold here for 10, release, hold here for 10, release, etc. Once the client has gone through this teaching progression from standing to half kneeling, we're going to make this a little more dynamic by incorporating different patterns with the pal-off press. So for our first progression here, our first kind of example, we have just a standard pal-off press. And again, I'm trying to keep this in line with my shoulders, or I'm sorry, my belly button, and I'm just pressing in and out. Alright, from here we can do different things like circles forward, circles backwards. We can make different patterns, squares. We can go overhead. We can walk out. We can walk forward and backwards. And really this technique is limited only by your imagination. Obviously, as we walk it out, we make it harder. As we walk it in, we make it easier. But the idea is incorporate different patterns for 10 to 15, actually 10 to 30 second holds. So in this case, if I wanted to create a sequence, I might do something like a pal-off press for 10, followed by a pal-off raise for 10, followed by something more dynamic like a walkout for 10. Switch sides and do that for 30 seconds on the other side. But this is a great alternative to a side plank. Again, very easy to teach. Really, to take this to the next level, we could move this down into a half or a tall and then a half kneeling position and really crank up the intensity. Great alternative to the side plank and something we're using increasingly here at Peak Fitness.